thank you. Perfect.
Okay, it's 4:05. I'm going to officially call our meeting to order, and I'm going to go off script for just a second. Clearly, this is a distinctly low turnout for this month's meeting, and I have to tell you, we have quarterly meetings with our supervisors at the Department of Education. When I say we, that includes chief recovery officers, receivers, and even folks like Stephen, who's joining us today, the technical folks who are the analysts, the researchers supporting districts in financial recovery. Generally, we'll have an opportunity to go into smaller breakout sessions and we can collaborate among ourselves. And it's interesting, the most recent one that I participated in, which was just a few weeks ago, I happened to be paired up with a chief recovery officer. I'm very familiar with him. His district is in monitoring, so they've exited. And another recovery officer who is actually about to go into exit, start monitoring, and so forth. Their district has shown significant documented growth. And it's ironic, we were talking about Financial Recovery Advisory Committee meetings, and my comment was, well, my group's really quiet. I said, sometimes, it's a little bit uncomfortable because they're not really questioning or challenging anything, but, I appreciate the respect that you all show. And both gentlemen said to me, well, that's a sign that you're improving, because honestly, we have very low turnout. We have a hard time getting people to even log in, and we've adjusted times to try to accommodate and so forth. So I'm going to view this as a sign that the district is absolutely growing. There's confidence in the current administration, the decisions that are being made. So, but let's hope that that's the case. I do know that last month, as many of you will recall, we asked about the meeting time last Wednesday, the month at 4:00. Is that still a good time for most of you? And the group did acknowledge that it is. So we're going to continue with that. As we typically do, let's just do an informal roll call for the record. So I'll go through the list of appointees. As a reminder, the legislative act that governs, dictates what happens in financial recovery, prescribes that there must be certain positions represented in the form of appointees to our committee. Those include myself, Nancy Hines. We also have with us today the Sto-Rox School District Superintendent, Sonia Coleman. I do not see any school board member representatives with us today. We do have our principal appointee, Heather Johnston. From our business office here, appointee Scott Reed. The AIU, I do not see any reps currently with us, but I was in communication today with Dr. Joe Jacoby. So I want to reassure everybody that the AIU is still integrally involved in activities here in the district. I do not see our charter school representative, Melissa Garvin, today, nor our special ed advocate, Ms. Jessica Taylor. I did put a note on this month's agenda. We've had communication with Dr. Caroline Johns. She's from Northgate School District. As we know, we must have a superintendent from another district participate as an appointee. She did let us know that she's absolutely interested in remaining involved, and she continues to collaborate with Sonia Coleman, the superintendent here. They have conversations, they problem solve, thought partners, and so forth. And she said, though, unfortunately, she does have a standing appointment at the same exact time. And to be very frank, she asked, did I think that she should resign her position? Is absolutely not. If you're willing to stay involved and to continue your relationship with Mrs. Coleman, I think that's appropriate. I think that's perfectly fine. She did assure me, and I do believe her wholeheartedly, that she is reading the information that we are sharing, and she's also watching the videos of the meetings that are archived on the website. Two district residents, Mrs. Tina Nagel, she is not with us today, and I don't see her logged in. And I will tell you, there is possible movement. I did have contact today with a resident from the community who may be interested in serving in that capacity. I did connect her with Dr. Jill Jacoby, and I'm going to be hopeful that we'll have a positive update next month for us. And ever faithful, our Sto-Rox School District teacher representative, Ms. Marie Kotek, is with us today. Also, I want to acknowledge Martha. Martha is behind the scenes. She's very supportive, helps with the agendas, scrolling with the screen today. And sometimes I forget to mention that she's with us. So I do want to recognize her and make sure that she's a standing part of our agenda moving forward. Our PDE assigned technical support representatives, as noted, Stephen Ramirez from PFM is here with us today. And just to confirm his role with the district, he is meeting actively with both Sonia and myself generally every Thursday. He's also, his team, he and Hannah are meeting regularly with Zach Simpson, Director of Buildings and Grounds here. And he also meets regularly with Scott Reed from the business office. So I just want to reassure everybody that what they are contributing remains valuable, and we appreciate their support. And Stephen, you for joining us today. Wessel and Company Business Office Support. I do not see Michael Lamb or Ed Denner. They have been involved in the past. Certainly there's an opportunity to collaborate when the district needs it. And again, a sign of growth here within the district. Sonia has made it very clear that she is trying to increase the local capacity to complete tasks that districts outside of financial recovery would normally complete in the absence of technical support. And so I see the district weaning off a whole lot in that regard. All right, topics revisited from last month. This is just a standing agenda item, the SASI, the Supporting America School Infrastructure Grant Program. We are hopeful that the engineering team will be visiting the school district this summer. There's no new updates since our last communication, November 24th. The amended financial recovery plan 2025. I want to see if we can show, Martha, do you have access to that? Martha, do you have the track? There you go. Okay. So, I've been talking about exit. I really feel like the district is year one of year three performance that might result in exit, and then the 5 years of monitoring to follow. All to be determined. We've talked about different components, different criteria. The biggest one is those 5-year projections out that the district would end with a surplus. So, how is this being tracked? Is this just, conversation? What's the substance behind those remarks? And Sonia really has been integral in taking the lead on this. There are regular district operations meetings with the full central office admin team, and she will often use this document. There's absolutely accountability, individuals named who are the responsible parties. And then you see the coding there. PFM helped to put this together, this tracking tool in column E. And you can see, Martha, if you can scroll down just to give the group a preview. And you can see there's some notes that are highlighted, things that we're working on or we need to update and so forth, but there is a lot of green.
So Nancy, if I can interrupt here.
Please.
So I apologize, group, that I'm not there. I'm out sick, but I'm gonna do my best to stay in this moment. I think it's important because what we did with this tool, I just don't think having a plan that you don't monitor is effective. And we need to ensure that all our work aligns to that. So we added the status column really to ensure that we're accountable. We have a principals meeting tomorrow where we're actually going to talk about more about the tracker and ensuring that they're aligned to the work that we're doing. Here's the thing. I think a lot of people were, when they saw the plan, what's written in the plan is best practice. While we've added other things on top of this, it all aligns so it doesn't feel like more work. And I'm a proponent of hard work. Doesn't mean it, everything has to be a copious amount of work. It just needs to be good work and be effective and be aligned. So if you can hit the data tab, I insert it because I think people, you don't want to read through because there's 200 things on that list. And so we can get inundated by the 200 things and feel like we're not doing the work to hit the components that we need to work. So just a quick graphic to show much of the work is already in progress, and progress and growth is important for us. And so then there are several things that are already completed. And so I think it's important to be transparent with what we are doing and to show the work that still needs to be done. There are still things that have not been started, and we recognize what those things are. And we have some things, that little sliver that shows in red are the things that need attention, that we understand that coming out of this school year, we need to make sure we have touched every item and have a plan for that in order to move the district forward. And as I've said before, this isn't work that we're going to do in 1 year because we didn't get in financial recovery from 1 year. This is a multi-year plan. And if folks stay the course and do their part with 100% fidelity, we will do those things. And ultimately, we will move the district forward.
Thank you, Sonia, for adding that additional detail. Because you were sick, I did not think you were going to get to the pie chart. So once again, you shock me, but I shouldn't be shocked at this point. I know that you are very much committed to the district. So if we think about the amended financial recovery plan 2025, there is a piece about academics, right? That's the most important part of any school district. That's the reason we are here. Certainly finance, financial operations have to be on point so that they can sustain and provide that learning environment for the students, the resources that they need. And to do that, the Appendix E talks a lot about, addresses the actual operational items that have to be modified. As Sonia said, best practice. Well, we want the district to operate as efficiently as it can. We want to maximize the output. So those things all come together in providing that evidence, constantly revisiting it, keeping it fluid. Also, at the district team level, I can attest to, having been part of those conversations, there is a team effort. If somebody is struggling, they're not sure where to go with something, they've hit a roadblock, whether it's PFM or somebody else from the team jumps in and really working collaboratively to achieve the results that we are all striving for. Really, I think everybody is motivated, wants the district to qualify for year one of that 3-year consecutive consideration. So I think we are in a very, very good place. Thank you again, Sonia, for contributing. Are there any questions, comments, concerns, anything specific to old business? All right, I'm going to move to the new topics for consideration. Again, this is since the last time we spoke on January 28th. That DCED, we call it, application, it is in progress. Again, it is a team effort. And the driving force there is the May 2024 capital improvement plan that PFM helped put together. So we know there's a list of capital needs here within the district. Repeatedly, we've said in these meetings that for the junior senior high school, being the oldest school of 3, more than 100 years old, the list is long. And so there is 7 million at least that needs to be completed here. This is an opportunity. The district was awarded a grant last year in the amount of 1.75 million to complete some repairs. A lot of those, though, were completed at the upper and at the primary center. You've heard me say I endorse that. I think that was a wise move because those are the newer facilities, and really didn't want a band-aiding approach at the junior senior high school, really wanted a comprehensive project. So the district is going to apply. They applied for 5 million last year. Only 1.75 was awarded. But still, I think this is a great opportunity. Team effort, working on the application. PFM has invoked support from their subcontractor, Devapar. They're looking at the narrative that the district has put together so far. I know Zach Simpson has given me some updates here about RFPs that were open today, responses to those proposals, the quotes, estimates, and so forth. And so we're going to continue to talk about that, try to really put that application in the greatest condition it can be before we hit the submit button. And that has to be prior to March 13th, the deadline. More surprises, fewer surprises, though. That's a positive thing. There was an IRS debt from March 2022 that the business office stumbled onto. Unfortunately, the total amount due at this point in time, which is 4 years later, $118,000, $410.94. Certainly, those are unbudgeted funds, and that includes the original missed quarterly payment. You can see on your agenda that amount, and then penalties and interest. So the district is going to pay that, of course, but the solicitor is reviewing that. That's of concern, another surprise. Any comments, concerns, questions on anything that I just addressed under new topics for consideration? Anybody have any other topics you'd like to talk about before we move on to Mike's presentation? Okay, so today's presenter is Mike Petragala. He is going to present something that he presented last week to our board in a public meeting. It's very interesting. It's a whole new approach to talking about climate, culture. Those are the CC initiatives within the amended recovery plan 2025. A lot of data tables, and remember, these are fluid. So he is going to be accountable to continue to develop these tables, to expand the data that's there so that there can be longitudinal comparison. New initiatives are being tried. And so the district has accountability with taxpayers. If dollars are being spent to try new and different things, we have to see, are those things working? Are they not? Do they need tweaked? Or was it something that just completely, no, we need to go in another direction? So collecting data, being transparent about it, all woven, embedded into the amended recovery plan. So Mike's going to give his presentation at this point.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. You may have the next slide, please. All right, this is our mission statement. I will give you a moment to look at that. All right, so the keynote that I take away from this is positive relationships and a safe and secure environment. That's what my department's focus is. May I have the next slide, please? Our core beliefs. Next slide, please. And 2025-2026 academic priorities. All right. Next slide, please. All right, so what we did here was we took the same time last year, 1st of August 2024 through 31 January 2025, and the same time frame for this school year. Top 5 incidents by type. By coincidence, they are the same from year to year. We didn't do that deliberately. We looked at the numbers, and those are the top 5. So class skips, physical aggression, defiance, insubordination, non-compliance, disruption, or out of bounds. And if you notice, the numbers from that time frame last year compared to the same numbers in the time frame this year. May I have the next slide, please? All right, and here we broke down incidents by type, in particular in the hallways, the classrooms, on the buses, or off campus. And you can see those numbers from last August through January through this August through January.
Hey, Mike, if I can just interject just for a moment and just to say why we think those 2 slides are important. One of the things we did this year is say we want everything tracked in the system that we have. Moving away from spreadsheet tracking and all these other tracking formats, but to put everything in the system that we have, because we cannot identify areas of improvement or what direction we need to go in if people are hoarding or tracking data in different platforms or in different ways. And so that gives us a true measure or starting point in terms of what our conversations need to look like to make overall improvement around climate and culture moving into the rest of this school year and into next school year.
Thank you. May I have the next slide, please? All right, the discipline data for in-school, in-school suspension, out-of-school suspension, AEDY, or expulsion. And you'll notice here from year to year, the numbers remain fairly consistent. Next slide, please. Okay, here specifically out-of-school suspension last year versus this year, broken down by student demographic. You'll see the general education, the special education, male and female. And what I found interesting to note on this particular slide was the number of students contributing. So in other words, if you look at the upper left, number of students was 73, which resulted in 119, that's general education, 73 students contributing, earning a total of 119 days of out-of-school suspension. Well, while the numbers change a bit more from the days of suspension given out, the number of students stays relatively close. I found that to be a pretty interesting statistic. Next slide, please. All right, this addresses the same time frame with the same breakdown in student demographic and in-school suspension. And once again, you'll notice a change in the number of days, but fairly close in the number of students contributing. May I have the next slide, please? Thank you. All right, now here, what we did was same time frame across the board. We went and we looked by individuals. What was the grade level of the individual, top 4? What was the grade level? What was the common incident? And what was the outcome? So you'll notice last year, for example, a 9th grader, most common incident was disruption. Common outcome was out-of-school suspension. Physical aggression, in-school suspension, and then 4 and K, physical aggression, both resulted in out-of-school suspensions. And moving forward to this year, I found it to be an interesting shift. Most common incident for the 10th grader at the top, skip classes. One down from there, 9th grader, skip classes. Down below that, kindergarten, out of bounds. And again, the last kindergarten, physical aggression. Those were out-of-school suspensions and then meetings and discipline. So a bit of a shift in what the incident was to less of a physical aggression, more of a class skip out of bounds.
Just make a quick remark. When you first presented this, I didn't even think about it, but now that I'm looking at it, 7th and 8th graders didn't hit the mark.
No.
That is so interesting.
No. Next slide, please. Okay, threat assessments. So last year versus this year. At the primary school, 6 were conducted last year, 5 this year. At the upper elementary, 5 last year, 8 this year. Junior, senior high school, 25 last year. Junior, senior high this year, 4. The only thing when I really took a look at this, that drop off, last year there were 2 of our guidance counselors here at the junior, senior high were working on those. And when I spoke to them, one of the things that we found was, because last year they were paper and pen, what we found was that a lot of those 25 were very, very short. So for example, a statement was overheard or a statement was made, a threat assessment was launched. And I'm sure you're all familiar with the protocol that we use. It's a flow chart. And in that flow chart, if this, then you proceed here. If that, then you proceed there. So a lot of those 25 were very short loops. They started, they were found to be groundless, and they ended rather quickly. So I take this kind of like the overall theme, as I'll get to here in a moment. I think that's just really a matter of an increased awareness and improved reporting systems. I think is responsible largely for that. That's what the data would suggest to me. May I have the next slide, please? Okay, radio calls. This is something that we wanted to track. This is specific to our security officers. So last year we did not track this. This year we did, and we broke it down in 2 broad categories: major and minor. So a major call would be, of course, a fight or a medical emergency or a physical aggression that could escalate beyond verbal into a physical. So and these are district-wide again, 735 major. Again, as I described the categories, minor categories is literally everything else. So that would be radio call, can we get a restroom unlock on the 3rd floor, 2nd floor, what have you, or escort a student from one class to another. Could you please escort students? Check, oftentimes, I think the majority of the minor calls, visitor check-in, late student arrival check-in, or just assisting with transporting students. May I have the next
Mike,
slide?
can I ask you a question? How did you get that radio data?
So what we did was, you may have seen them, a few months back, I bought small pocket notebooks for the officers, and I bought like a little case of I think they're golf pencils, really. So what I did was I said, look, don't make yourself crazy with this, but make it a little tally sheet. So and you don't have to do it call to call. At the end of the day, just tally it up, and then we go, tally the days into weeks, weeks into months, and we'll get sharper on that the longer we do it. But it seemed like a good idea to expedite that at the time.
And just Heather, so you have it for your own knowledge. One of the reasons why I asked Mike to track these things is also from it's a layered approach from the financial piece to how we're using security in our building to understanding what are the calls as well.
No, I think that's interesting data, and I'd like, it by building if I could.
We do have it by building. This presentation is pulled up from the district level.
Mhm.
And so it is tracked by building. And so we'll talk more at different meetings about each building and why this is so important, because it varies between buildings.
Absolutely. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, safe to say update. Last year we had 1, this year we had 3. And one of the things that we did last year when I got on board, I went in and I looked at safe to say, and I tried to set us up for it because I couldn't find that the district was set up for it. When I tried, it kicked back, that account already exists, something to that effect. So I was able to contact Safe to Say directly. They got back to me, great customer service, got back to me almost immediately. And what they did was they sent a roster of who was assigned by building. Now, several of those people were no longer with us. So we redid everyone by building, and they sent us some really good marketing materials, and we ended up putting the Safe to Say link in a place of prominence on our website. So we've gotten more traction from it, but I think the next step is a little bit more raising awareness among the students and faculty. They have some fantastic ready to distribute videos, and they don't take that long. You can roll them out to your faculty first. 2 different versions. They're identical, but the faculty version has a little, notes at the bottom for the educator, and then you would show the student's version. But I think there's really it's a fantastic system. I'm sure you're all familiar with it, but the first thing that impresses me about it is it's screened. So if you make a phone call, you're speaking to someone, a person on the other end of the phone who is taking that first cut at it to see if it is in fact credible. And similarly, if you send it in via email, or rather electronically over a computer, it's the same thing. You're chatting with a real person in the support capacity, and then they can escalate it appropriately, and we can follow on more directly. So it's a great system, and we'll really use that moving forward. Next slide, please. Okay, emergency operation plan review. We actually, today's meeting got a little bit sidetracked due to the 2-hour delay. So what we'll do is we'll have this next month, and we'll go building by building with the administrative staff, and got some really good information here to pass. Particular emphasis I want to put on incident command structure. I think is a great place to start. We need to look at the emergency operation plan as a living, breathing thing that grows and evolves with the district. It should never just be a binder on our shelf. The incident command structure, whether it's a natural or man-made disaster, doesn't matter. That our response to it is the same. So, for example, building principal, unless otherwise determined, building principal would take the role as incident commander, and then we would break down the others as far as everything from finance to public relations, who's our spokesperson. And my capacity in all of those buildings is as necessary. So, if the incident commander needs a hand, that's great. If not, I take on a more operational role depending on what the issue is in the first place. So that's a very fluid, dynamic environment, but that's yeah, we've got some good training coming up. May I have the next slide, please? Okay, our safety drill updates. In addition to our monthly fire drills and bus safety drill at the beginning of the year, we'll have another one at the end. We'll be scheduling the following events. In March, we will do a building lockdown drill. Building lockdown drill and training will follow ALICE protocols as we do here. In April, we would, again, better weather, hopefully in April, we'll do building evacuation drills. And again, that doesn't have to be for any, it could be something so simple as a gas leak or another reason that we've got to get out of the building. But I wanted to do something a little bit more robust in April rather than just a fire drill. So we'll work on that. And again, well in advance, we'll brief security team and administration at each building, so we'll know what exactly we'll be looking at, and we'll coordinate with local law enforcement prior to the commencement. We'll get them involved as well. Next slide. All right, so our next steps, some infrastructure updates. We will be renaming and relocating some of our cameras. And again, only if necessary. And the first thing that strikes me is here in the high school, when this camera system was installed, my understanding is the stairwells were all painted different colors. So for example, when we look at our camera system online, you pull up your computer and you'll see red stairwell, green stairwell, lime green stairwell, but they're no longer that color. However, each stairwell has an exterior door at the base of it. So that's a simple task. We'll just rename those according to the door. And some of our cameras, we identified a couple, very few, but a couple blind spots that with a relocation of the camera, we could eliminate that. So we'll be getting on that. We just had our technician here yesterday to do a walkthrough with IT to see exactly where we want to move these cameras. Exterior door audits by building, and that is simply the exterior alarms to make sure that they all work. If they don't work, we tally it and report it. And then we work with facilities. Oftentimes, particularly at the primary and the upper, oftentimes those exterior alarms, that's a matter of a battery. So we can get on that. And similarly down here, it's a little bit of a different system, but we'll make sure that all of our exterior doors are working the way they should, and that the audible alarms work when they should. All right, the EOP reviews, as I said, Wednesdays, normally during the monthly safety committee meeting, which would have been this morning, but like I said, we pushed that to March. And I think too, what we can go, and I prefer to do this as well, coincident to that. That review is just something we can bring up at our monthly safety meetings. We take a different section of the EOP. But what I referred to earlier was more building specific, because that's each building's a bit unique. So we'll work with building leadership on that. And we continue to measure incident trend data so that we can prevent violence long before we respond to it. It's always better to be proactive than reactive. And our goal here is to build a layered, intelligent, prevention-focused system that protects the students while preserving the educational environment. Next slide, please. And that's all I've got. Do I have any questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mike. So if we just go back to the agenda briefly before we break and just look at the tentative presenter schedule moving forward. Sonia, did you identify somebody for March 25th, or are we still thinking about that?
I apologize, Nancy. I had not identified anyone for that. Actually, let me say this. It is on our operations meeting because it aligns with how they signed up in operations. And I do believe it is Zach.
Okay, so this would have been a building principal.
The building principal. No, our meeting is tomorrow. It was
Okay.
supposed to be last week. and
All
it
right, so
got moved. So it'll be one of the principals.
well, I was just going to ask something, and Heather, your input is important here too. So what if we just think a little bit more about finance? I have some things I'm putting together about millage rates, aid ratios, and so forth, because now we are actively in budget season. I'm not going to ask Scott to present anything, but I would like to use a significant amount of time, March 25th, to talk about those things. Heather, do you think it's doable to double up and to have two principals, maybe you and Lisa, present at the same meeting?
Yeah, definitely.
They're going to get their guidelines tomorrow because they're going to have to, it'll work because they're going to have to double up anyways for the board presentations because of the number of things we're trying to present on and not have people there till 10, 11 o'clock at night. So that might work. It is,
Okay.
and she's seen the agenda. It's on the agenda for our meeting tomorrow.
Okay, so if you guys are okay with it, what I'd like to do is not have a building principal present March 25th. We'll talk a little bit more about, millage rates and where the district is in terms of poverty levels and so forth. And then Sonia, if you would just assign two principals for April 29th. We'll go back to the remaining principal for May 27th at this point, but this may be prime time too to have Scott come back and talk
I say
about.
we go ahead and say elementary.
Okay.
One, because they're the numbers in terms of some of the things they're going to present on, especially with them separating us, looking at primary or elementary and secondary handbooks and some of the data that's elementary and secondary. It just makes sense to go ahead and have them do April, just because I also know what May looks like for their calendars.
All right, that sounds good. So if we think about Heather and Lisa for April 29th, May 27th, think about the high school. And if Scott, if you could, it probably is just a duplicate of what you'll do in terms of your proposed final, but if you would share that, would that be okay for you for May 27th, along with Asia or a representative from the junior senior high school?
Sure, no problem.
Okay. And then Sonia, you'll take June, and then I'll do July.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay. All right, before we close out, any final comments, questions, concerns? All right, thank you so much, everybody. Have a great evening. We'll see you back Wednesday, March 25th at 4 o'clock. Take care. Thanks, Martha.